like science.
I like science.
I like science.
Welcome.
Hello.
Science.
Here we are again.
Yeah, I guess we should introduce ourselves. We don't tend to do that
I
often.
know.
We
It's
just
because
start talking.
we were just having a conversation, man.
Yeah.
So who are you?
Oh, I'm Dave, DJ Evil Dave, and I'm I guess the more casual fan of the two of us of the Star Trek series.
Mm-hmm.
Zzz.
Yep.
Who are you?
I am your wife. I'm your wife, Brandy.
You are.
I feel like we're in a Hallmark movie where you've forgotten who I am, and now I
Yeah.
have to try and remember you.
It's
Make
50
you
First
remember me.
Dates, the podcast.
Yes. I've never seen that.
Nope,
Anyway,
me either.
so yeah, I'm Brandy, and I've been a Star Trek fan my entire life. Basically, my parents were watching it while I was in the womb, so I didn't really have a choice on being exposed to Star Trek. But not that I would have complained if it had, if I'd had the choice, I would have chosen the same way.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't call myself the most knowledgeable fan ever, because there are people out there that have a lot of knowledge that I just am too tired to go after. So
Yeah,
I just
Dan.
you leave Dan out of this
Okay.
in that regard, because Dan is the best. And
Yes.
if it weren't for Dan, we wouldn't have this podcast, because
True.
it was kind of his thing, his idea when we were doing random episodes for on Ready Room between seasons of New Trek.
And that idea is?
The idea is to randomly pick an episode of Star Trek and then talk about it.
Yeah, kind of a weird way to do a Star Trek podcast, because most, either choose beforehand, like specifically something to discuss, or they're doing like a watch along where they do the series in order. But
Yeah.
we choose our episodes at random across all the Star Trek franchise, including the movies, the Kelvin universe. We have not done Prodigy yet. We have not
Nope.
done Strange New Worlds or Discovery or Lower Decks. And we haven't really addressed the original series except in the animated form.
Right.
And short treks.
Yes.
So there's still a lot of Star Trek we have not quite discussed properly yet. I mean, we've discussed it, in tangents and comparatively.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those are the series we haven't discussed. We've done everything else.
Yep.
And
We've done at least one episode of everything else.
Yeah, we're returning to Voyager, which seems like home base by now. Because was this our fourth Voyager episode?
I don't remember.
I
I'd have
think
to look
this is
back.
our fourth.
I'll go through my notes because I
Okay.
have all of them written down. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Yep, this is the
this
fourth
is
one.
our fourth. Okay. So yeah,
Yep.
we've done the animated series, Next Generation, Voyager, of course,
And
Enterprise. We've done a couple of, and I said DS9, didn't I?
Yes, I believe you did, but if you didn't, you just said it now.
And then yes, Picard.
Picard.
That was our first episode, our first
Picard.
true episode, not the teaser where we just discuss what we're doing. So, yeah, we're back to Voyager again. Just familiar territory at this stage.
And we did have one movie. We did have the
Next Generation
Nemesis movie, Nemesis, which
Which-
was better than I remembered.
I still think it's our most listened to, our most played episode is the Star Trek Nemesis, which makes sense because I think more people are familiar with the movies than the television show. Because I think some people are just more movie people than TV people. So they'll go see the movies even if they don't follow the series.
Interesting.
That's
I just
an assumption I'm making.
Yeah, I do it all because that's just it was just integrated into my life before I was even born.
Yep.
So yeah, we've got Voyager season 2, episode 11, Maneuvers.
Maneuvers, which always makes us think of Susie Azard.
Yes.
with the
I've in-
Heimlich
I've
maneuver.
invented a maneuver. What are you, a fucking tank commander?
Hilda, Hilda, wake up! I've
Wake up,
invented a
my German wife.
maneuver.
What is it, Dr. Heimlich? Why you call me Dr. Heimlich? I'm your husband, for fuck's sake.
You swallow a golf ball, you cough it up.
Hoocha, hoocha, hoocha,
A hoochie.
lobster.
Lobster. I'm actually advised to do Heimlich as like a last resort thing because it
Yeah.
can damage bodies and is not the most effective way to remove food from your throat. So
Right. Well, if it's cutting off your airway and you're dying.
yeah, yeah, if you're dying, and then the trick to use the back of a chair if nobody else is available, put it under
Mhm.
your solar plexus and shove yourself into the chair.
Yep.
But you can break ribs and stuff that way. So
Yep.
yeah, just a little bit of caution. Oh,
Little
that
bit of
was a big
caution.
old yawn.
Shut up. Don't tell them I'm
That was a
yawning.
huge yawn. Yeah, we're
You
both very
dick.
tired.
Speaking
I
of
just,
dicks.
oh, dicks. Oh, do you want to get into it? All right, let's
No,
do it.
no. What were you gonna say, baby?
Oh, I was just saying, speaking of tired, I worked like a week of overtime, so I
Yes, you
basically
did.
squeezed 3 weeks into two. So yeah, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
little,
Uh-huh. He is
and so
he's been working hard.
we just, as soon as we got home, basically popped on the episode, and once the episode was done, got onto here to talk about it. So it's really fresh.
Yes. So fresh.
But yeah,
Super
speaking of
fresh.
dicks,
Dakota, you christened
Dakota.
him.
Well, the way he's just pestering Balana about hoverball, whatever that is, and whatever outfits they're doing, they look like they're like hand knitted by themselves, blindfolded. But yeah, they're doing a mind game because they got called away from the game and Balana was winning. And he's like, "Well, I was meaning for you to win because I was going to turn things around on you, and then under pressure, you'd start to lose confidence, and then I'd win in the end." And it's like, oh, just shut up, Dakota,
Yeah.
just shut up.
Well, see, and that's the thing. It's like Balana's got a temper. And so
Yeah.
you try to tell her that she can't do something and she is going to prove you wrong.
Yep.
So, and he knows that about her. And so he's just egging her on. So that's why Dakota.
And considering how she fights in his corner later in the episode, it'd been
Mhm.
funny if she was pissed off at him and didn't. He's
Well,
like, oh, he goes running off on his own. Well, fuck him then.
uh, well, she's a better person than he is.
Yeah, that's true. Isn't it? She should be first officer. That's
Right.
how, yeah, engineers are never first officer. What am I saying?
Right. But it's a quite a feather in her cap to be chief engineer,
Yeah,
considering that she didn't actually even finish her academy studies.
right.
So, but that's the interesting thing. It's like you can actually be really good at a thing without having formal training on it.
Well, how
And
many people have dropped out of colleges and stuff and pursued
yeah,
their own thing and, started their own startup company or whatever?
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's never something to judge a person by. Judge them by their abilities, not how they came by their
Yep.
abilities. So,
And people are self-taught that are just naturally good at things or have just trained themselves to do things.
yep.
Yeah.
So basically, our cold open is, Dakota, and then also them getting to the bridge and finding out that there is a probe out there that is using a Federation signal.
Everybody goes, "Oh, they're looking for us. It's home. This was
Yeah.
sent out a month after we left or whatever." And it's like, ugh, guys, could be a
Yeah.
trap.
Well, that's the thing. Janeway at no point ever says, yes, this, we're going home. She never
Yeah.
at any point says she's basically the one saying, we don't know that. We don't have any information yet. I would love for that to be true, but it's probably not.
She's like she's like the mother of a couple of spaniel dogs because Kim and Paris are just yapping away around her ankles, going, "Oh, going for walkies, going for walkies." She's just like, "Not yet." Just has to tamp that down. It's like, okay, just not jump to conclusions. We need all the evidence first before we make a decision. Just go waltzing into wherever this probe is, which is near like a nebula cloud.
Duh. It's like trap. It's got trap written all
Of
fucking
course.
over it.
Because as soon as they get near the cloud, they get shot at.
Yeah, sneak attack. Guess
Yeah,
what? It's the fucking Kazon. Oh.
yeah. And a poorly rendered ship that has a frame weight of like 10.
Hey, it probably looked better in its time because we didn't have high def back then.
Yeah, maybe it has a stutter drive, and that's why it seems to be moving at like millimeters at a pop kind of
Yeah,
thing.
there
Well,
you
not
go.
even millimeters, but it seems to jump. It's not moving
Sure.
very fluidly, just kind of stutters and skitters across the screen.
Yeah. Ugh.
It's like Jawa walkers or the crawlers in space. They're just
Mm.
very wedgy looking vehicles. A
Wedgie. Yeah. And they,
wedgie
they
vessel.
they ram the shuttle right into the fucking ship.
Yeah,
And
well, they shoot at this one spot in the shields so that the size of this hole gets bigger and bigger, and they're trying to block it out, changing shield modulation. And they keep firing because they're matching whatever their shield frequency they go to, and then, they start to randomize it, but by then it's too late. They've already poked a hole in the shields, and with that, they launch a shuttle straight into the hole
hmm
that Kazon. As they basically armored an arrowhead onto the front of this shuttle and pierced the side
Yep. So, of course, now we've got Kazon up on in there, and
with their funky hairstyles.
ugh, seriously, it looks like they rolled around in garbage.
Yeah.
Really, just I don't know what they were thinking with this whole Kazon thing. Honestly, I'm sure that they wanted them to be these really big bads, but they're just laughable.
Yeah, they're not the best villains.
They're really not. They're very boring, in my
Hmm.
opinion. Sorry,
That and when, yeah.
Kazons.
Yep, so they have a boarding party that come out. One of them gets shot by Tuvok, who's doing splitting duties between the bridge and security.
Well, he is the head of security.
Yeah, so he was on there trying to keep the shields online, and then once they were boarded, he had to join his security team and
Yeah.
pursue the Kazon. But they were too late because the
hmm
Kazon went to the transporter room and stole some kind of transporter module and then transported out. And if I say transporter one more time, I'm just going to think of Jason Statham.
That's funny. I actually rewatched The Beekeeper this morning because I
Oh,
felt like,
fun.
watching people get theirs, watching
Yeah,
terrible people
that's
get
good
theirs.
because he goes after
Yeah.
financial scammers, so it's very,
Yeah,
very satisfying.
it is so satisfying and I'm just like, God, I love you.
It takes
And of
that guy's
course,
fingers.
yeah. Oh, he deserved it. They all
Mhm.
deserved it. And now Prime was like, here are all the other Jason Statham movies that
Oh,
you haven't
excellent.
seen.
I like the one. That's the one with Jet Li.
Mm-hmm.
Jet Li's alter person is going around killing people from multiple dimensions and
Yep.
gaining their power. It's a really good fight in the end that represents the difference between like the soft circular styles and hard linear styles.
Mm-hmm.
Really fun to see that fight.
Yeah.
So,
I just love movies letting Jason Statham do what Jason Statham does best, which is
yeah,
just
beat people up.
beat the crap out of people.
Yeah, because we saw Brave New World recently, and the fight scenes weren't some of the best because they're all like maximum, like this Taekwondo that was kind of popular for a while. That's I think
Mm.
it's called extreme martial arts, which is all about doing flips and kicks, and it's all maximum effort. I'm a minimum effort guy, and Jason Statham is more that. He'll just
hmm
punch you, or if you go to punch him, he'll just break your arm.
Yeah.
And so they're like one or two moves, maybe a combo here and there. He's not doing flips or jumps and anything extreme. He's just beating the crap out of people.
Yep. But
And I like
I
that.
get I understand that, but at the same time, because Sam is now Captain America and doesn't have the super soldier serum, he chose not to have it.
Yeah.
Um and his fighting style is more, because he was Falcon. So that's what he
Mhm.
knows. That's how he knows to fight.
Yep.
And so that's where his moves come from.
Yeah, he's got wings strapped to his back plus a jetpack. So,
Yeah.
of course he can do flips and kicks and launch himself into enemies and stuff. It's just my personal preference is more minimum effort kind of Tai
Yeah.
Chi kind of stuff.
Agree.
Aikido,
I
that
get
kind of,
that.
yeah.
So yeah, now I just want to go on a tear of Jason Statham movies because there
Yeah,
are actually several that I have not seen.
yeah, there's a bunch. There's one I started that never finished. I just decided I wasn't in the mood.
Mm,
But um, yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I like Jason Statham. Handsome Dave
Handsome Dave.
from the
Yeah.
Italian Job
Yeah, I've
remake.
always liked him.
Yep.
Always liked him. There's one that I can't remember the name of right now. I want to say, was it called Blight? I can't remember, but it's an actual British film,
Oh wow.
and there are a bunch of cops that are being murdered, and they bring him in to take care of this.
Wow.
He's going to take these motherfuckers down. So,
Well, now that Amazon owns James Bond, there's kind of a big question who's going to be the next James Bond, and it's like Jason Statham would be interesting because usually James Bond's been the debonair guy,
mhm,
and just to get this Brit in there that's like working class, like a Jason Statham, to be James
mhm.
Bond would be really fun.
Yeah, he would not be. Well, he could still be good at romancing
Yeah, because he's
because,
handsome and he's charming and stuff,
yeah,
but yeah, he you don't really think of him too often being the romantic lead because it's not really a role he seeks out. He's more
no.
like a protector type.
Well, see, and that's the thing. James Bond is not necessarily good in a knockdown, drag out fight. You know what I
True.
mean?
Yeah.
He's not a brute force sort of
Well, it depends on the James
agent.
Bond because
That's true.
Craig was brute force because they got that
Mm,
scene where they had the guy doing parkour and you'd have James Bond just running through drywall.
hmm
So he's like Kool-Aid Man. We're really off topic, but
It's my
yeah,
fault.
And you've got a listening party you want to attend too. So,
It's okay. It
but
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
anyway, Jason
Um,
Statham's awesome. We
yes, he
love
is.
his movies. Even
Yeah.
the cheesy ones are
Even
great.
the cheesy ones. There,
Yep. Him
I adore him.
and
I'd watch him
wooden
in anything.
wearing wooden shoes to fight on oil.
Yep.
Just great. The transporter films. So yeah.
Okay. This is the episode where we find out that Chakotay and Seska have fucked.
Yeah, intimately involved is how he puts it.
Yeah, he has intimate knowledge.
Yeah, they get boarded, the transporter goes away, and they find out that Seska's behind this, which is how she had Federation knowledge to be able to message them and lure them into this trap. And of course, she even goes on screen to taunt them because that's
Hmm.
just who she is.
Yeah. Well, that's typically a Cardassian thing, really,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
they always
taunt your
think they're
enemies.
smarter and
Mhm.
stronger than anyone.
Yeah,
So, but
boy,
yeah.
oof, just reminds you of certain people these days.
Oof, yeah, it does.
Yep.
The Now let's just pause here for a second because I have never really discussed this with you. What are your feelings about Seska as a character?
Well, I don't remember much. What I know of her is mostly listening to Greatest Trek do their Voyager run,
Hmm.
and they kept talking about how anytime she was involved in an episode, basically she was just kicking Chakotay in the balls the whole time. So it's basically that is that she's manipulative. She was undercover in the Maquis, and she got intimate with Chakotay and has this weird on and off thing with him, and yeah, keeps it's like he's a plaything to her,
Mm.
and she seems to get off on manipulating him and getting his goat.
What do you feel about Martha Hackett's performance as Seska?
It's just it's nuanced, I think. It's the femme fatale is always a tricky role because it's kind of a cool role, but it also kind of sets women back in a way because it's such a classic kind of film noir trope that, it dates back years and years and years and years and years, and it can really, just I don't know, it's sexy and powerful and sinister, but also I don't know how feminist it can be.
Mm. Well,
And so it's just yeah, I like it. I
mhm.
like her in it. I think she does an okay job. I like her little button nose.
Yeah, I really like Martha Hackett as Seska. Seska as a character is the kind of person you love to hate because she's always
Yeah.
got the upper hand. always.
she's not like quite Kai Wynn levels where you
No,
just
no, no,
despise her. I get
no.
a kick out of her and
Yes,
I can see what
exactly.
she's doing. And also I get a sense that she's walking a tightrope too, because, there's
Yeah.
there's manipulating people and there's always that chance you might go too far or say the wrong thing. And you
Mm,
get that with her and Kola talking,
yeah.
and he can kind of sense what she's doing when she's going behind his back and organizing this meetup with these other sects, which is funny because anytime they said sex, it sounds like sex, and I was getting a good kick out of that. It's all the K's on sex. It's like K's on sex. Ew. You guys probably smell.
I
Um,
mean, look at their hair.
I know. Look at their hair. They're orange and they don't look like the Hobgoblin.
Mm,
Kind of orange and pointy
mm-hmm.
and weird hair.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I really when I was first watching Voyager, I was like, "Oh, fuck, not this girl again." But
Uh-huh.
as being more mature and having more experience just with everything, I think that Martha's performance is really brilliant because she's never over the top. She is never a caricature.
She's very natural considering some of the acting choices that you get, especially for like a television show in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, was it 90s or was it a
It
little
was 90s,
after?
yes. It
90s,
was
yeah.
90s.
Yeah, I got the impression because there's a lot of 90s colors, like we were talking about the outfits they wore for whatever a hoverball is.
Yeah.
And what the hell are you wearing? Looks itchy. Looks like wool.
Yeah.
It's like, is there fire involved? And you need to wear something that's fire resistant,
Yeah.
like wool is.
Mm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I really liked her performance. I could do with seeing more of her. So,
Oh, you will.
yeah,
You will.
yeah, and to act through the makeup too, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's definitely suits the character. I think she was well cast.
Yeah, I agree. And I just like Martha Hackett as a person.
Right.
She's been on the Delta Flyer podcast
Oh,
more than
nice.
once, and she's just really cool. I just love her. So, where were we? Yeah. So, Chakotay is feeling embarrassed that
Mm-hmm.
they all got played.
Yep, takes it personally.
He does. Well, he has terrible taste in women for the most part.
Mm,
Maybe it's because he can't have the one woman that he wants.
that he carved a bathtub for.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, he's very sneaky and he sneaks off the ship, takes a shuttle.
Oh, yeah, and Tuvok gets holy hell for this.
Mm-hmm.
For because how do you steal a shuttle and take off? How do you even leave the ship and not have anybody know?
Yeah. And at the end of this episode that the shuttle complement is not down one shuttle. It's going to be the same number of shuttles that they had when they left space dock
Always
because that's how it works.
they have a never-ending well of shuttles for
Yeah.
Voyager.
It's a
Apparently torpedoes
weird thing.
too.
Yeah.
It's like, don't
Yeah.
you guys ever run out of these things? I guess not.
Actually, it's interesting to me because when they're um fighting with the Kazon, they only use phasers, and that makes me feel like they don't want to waste their photon torpedoes unless
Right.
they don't want to use them unless they have to. It's never actually said, but it's just really like bring out the big guns. They're
Yeah.
getting away with your technology and they're going to use it to fuck you up and everyone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So I
Or
just think
just
this is if there
yeah.
was a time for photon torpedoes, it would be now. But nope,
Yeah.
just phasers.
Weird decision.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but before Chakotay takes off, he's making plans with the Volana, and she's carrying around this anti-proton device, and it's
Scanner
really
thing.
funny. It looks like either a microphone or a fleshlight.
Yeah.
She's wielding it around, and I got a big kick out of that. It's got like a red bulb at the end of it. It's like, boy, what are you gonna do with that? It's like
she's
prop
gonna have some
department.
she's
What
gonna
a
have
weird
some pleasure
choice.
time later with it, is
Yeah,
what
it's like
she's
a,
gonna do.
what is it they call it? The magic wand?
Uh-huh.
The vibrator with the different attachments?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks kind of like that. He's just kind
Yeah.
of carrying it around. Just thought that was really funny. Very
Yes,
phallic
well,
shaped thing.
hey, a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do when
Well,
she
also
doesn't have a
when
romantic partner.
yeah, Chakotay's playing around with it, installing it, and it's blinking as he's trying to find the transporter to destroy it, or the transporter module.
Yeah, because they've
It's
already
just
installed it
such a
in the
funny
Kazon
prop.
ship by the time he
Yeah,
catches up. So,
yeah. Oh yeah, and they ice some dudes with it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, just tried to partner up with the more powerful sects and
uh,
try to convince them to join in on
for
attacking
Laura,
Voyager and
this was
stripping it of their technology. Yeah, the
the
Laura or
Relora.
whatever.
The Relora
Relora.
were the ones that were beamed
Relora.
out into space.
Yeah, because they had soldiers and ships, and so they're the most powerful sect, and they weren't cooperating, so boop, they got spaced. Which is, Neelix got a nice moment.
A few nice moments.
Yeah, saying that it wasn't an accident. This was purposeful because they are a different sect and they're really enemies. And
Yeah.
they find out that they were spaced while still alive. So they just suffocated and probably had their blood boil in the low atmosphere or
Yeesh.
zero atmosphere.
Yeah, well, and that's Neelix comes in handy a lot during this episode because of his knowledge of the Delta Quadrant
Yeah.
and his knowledge of the races in the Delta Quadrant, like the Kazon. And so at first he's like, yeah, this is not normal behavior for the Kazon, and
Yep.
I don't know why they would be doing this. And then she says, well, yeah, they took a transporter module. And he's like, his face is basically like, fuck.
Yeah.
Well,
This everybody is like, we don't want our technology spreading out through the Delta Quadrant.
yep,
So
because they'll
yeah,
use
they
it
need
for
to get it
bad
back.
things.
Yep. Yeah, it'll sway things. It'll cause more rifts in the Kazon. There'll
Yep.
be power fluctuations and, just upsetting the whole political thing,
Yeah,
the
uh
theater.
it would have consequences that would go throughout the quadrant.
Yep.
And a quadrant is pretty fucking big, folks. Remember that? A quadrant
So
is
yeah.
huge.
So they
So,
must get that back.
yeah.
And so even after Chakotay destroys it, which, is the mission goal in the first place, he sends back a message saying, "Hey, don't come get me. I'm probably already dead." So
Yeah.
of course B'Elanna's like, "Hey, how does that look if we lose our first officer? How's that going to affect morale?" I mean, it's like everybody's already in low spirits because we're stuck out here. If we lose
Yeah.
our first officer, what does that really say for us?
Yeah, and it's interesting um this conversation between Balana and Janeway because she's sticking up for him even though he was a dick to her earlier. But
Right.
that's because they're friends. They're friends.
Hmm.
So that part's nice. But Janeway, the interesting thing about Janeway, about Kate Mulgrew in general, like there's certain times where it's just like just a twitch of her eyebrow and you know exactly what's going on in her head. And it's
Oh
just
yeah.
brilliant. She's
Hmm.
just so good. I just adore her. So she's like, yeah, okay, well, it would be a bad idea for us to go after him, but I see your point.
Hmm.
So why not? Let's go fuck shit up.
Yep. It's a resume course.
Resume course, yeah.
Uh, and there are these moments between B'Elanna and Janeway throughout, like also about what kind of discipline Chakotay
Mm-hmm.
is going to receive. If he's just going to go to the brig, if maybe he'll get demoted or what. And it's like, well, this is a conversation we can have for a later time. We just have to get him back in one piece first.
Yeah,
It's like, let's not talk about discipline when we don't even have him yet.
exactly.
I
Yeah,
did like it when they're on the sofa talking to each other.
indeed.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
you know,
nice moment.
I since we don't have a lot of female leads on the show
Yeah,
because we've only got Balana and Janeway at this point. We get seven
right.
later on. Well, you know, Kess kind of, I guess, is a lead,
Yeah,
but not really. She's more of a featured player because
right.
she's not in every episode. But
Yeah, she's like those Saturday Night Live members that they saved to the end of the credits.
mhm,
Yeah.
featuring
Featuring Kyle Mooney or whatever.
Yeah, it's I just like the relationship between the two of them because Janeway saw something in B'Elanna that made her give the position of chief engineer to her above what's his name? Can't remember. Joe something, I think. There
Joe
are
the
people out
plumber.
there screaming at me right now. Because Joe Carey, I think it was
Yep.
Carey. Yeah,
Joe Carey.
Joe Carey.
All
I
right.
think that's right. I'm not going to look it up right now. And so it's kind of like they have this connection because they're both science people, because engineering is a science.
Right.
So, and it's
Yeah.
they kind of can finish each other's sentences a lot of the time.
Yeah, engineering is really applied science.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, chemistry, physics,
Yep.
etc.
It's cool that way.
Yeah.
So I like seeing these moments between them, even if they are breaking the Bechdel test by talking
By
about a
talking
guy.
about Chicote, Decote.
Dick Cote.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we talk about Dick Cote on the Kazon ship?
Getting his ass whooped,
So
uh,
much.
and also being flirted with,
Yeah.
manipulated.
He's not falling for it this time though.
Yeah, they tried to play really, really good cop and really, really bad cop with him.
Yeah. It
It's
was
like the
never gonna
good
work.
cop that uh, basically has your hands on you in one way and hands on you the other.
Mm-hmm.
Getting
Yeah.
punched and pretty good job doing kind of a lisp, like maybe his cheek was swelling or lost a
Yep.
tooth or something. There's a way that Beltran performs it after being beat up that's convincing.
Very convincing. Like I
Yeah,
was feeling pain for him.
yeah, kind of wheezing, kind of lisping, maybe a split lip, something like that, where, it affected how his speaking voice. So
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty convincing.
It was very convincing, and not everyone can pull that off.
Yeah, he does good hurt acting.
He does do good hurt acting. So yeah. Basically he just gets beat up a lot. And of course, Cullen has now got three other sects there that are waiting for him to, do his thing because he's told them he's gotten Voyager's command codes when he
Right.
hasn't,
Yep.
because Chakotay won't give him up.
Oh, even when
So
drugged. And
even
boy,
when
how
drugged.
deep do those needles go? Jeepers creepers. They're like going into his spine.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. I think the one that Seska did was actually extracting his DNA, like she says at the
Right.
end of
Yeah.
the episode. And
Boy, that's not where I prefer my DNA to be extracted.
me either. Me
Yeah.
either. It's terrible.
There's other ways, Seska. You already know.
Yeah. Well, she didn't have time to fuck him.
All
So,
right.
but
Well, even
yeah,
so, if you're
yeah.
looking for something, there's other ways to find it.
Agree, agree. But yeah, that made me very uncomfortable because
Yeah.
it was a very thick needle sort of
It was very
thing,
thick and very long, and
very
she
long and
plunged it
just
very deeply.
yeah, and his his reaction to that, again, very good acting, because
Yeah.
I felt sick. Like
Yeah, he
just
winced
no.
and took a
Ugh,
sharp intake of air. So,
yeah,
yeah, it's
and just
convincing as well.
the pain on his face was
Yep.
very real. So, yeah, whatever you may think about Robert Beltran as a person, he did a really good job with his acting in this
Yeah.
episode. So,
Yeah, he does a bang up job getting banged up.
yeah, yeah. So, so yeah, of course, Voyager goes after him, and um,
They they start a plan of how to retrieve him.
yeah,
And it's basically, weren't they going to go by in at warp and pick him up?
yeah.
And there's like, how? How are you possibly going to do that?
Well,
How are you
Balana
going to
had done it.
pinpoint and pick him up while in warp?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Balana had done it before,
Yeah.
but that's not what they ended up doing, is
No,
it?
because they had a dampening field, and so she couldn't do it. And then the
Yeah.
dampening field was fluctuating, so she couldn't do it again. And finally, they're like, you know what? Let's just transport the whole room.
Mm-hmm. Let's just grab them all. Just grab them all.
And
It's
of course,
fine.
Chakotay wasn't there, so they have to do a hostage exchange. But so they
Mm-hmm.
pick up all these Kazon,
Mm-hmm.
and of course disable the weapons, which goes to prove that the transporter can do things to you in transit, like maybe put clothes on, disable weapons, maybe
Mm-hmm.
even change your positioning. Like if you were transported sitting and you
You,
arrive and you're
you're now
standing.
standing. Yeah.
Yeah, transporter does some wild shit.
Yeah, well, the whole deactivating weapons thing is not new. That is
Yeah.
something that has been seen in other Star Trek series. So, but it is that's handy. It's very handy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
That should
Um,
be like an automatic feature. And so when people come transporting in, automatically their weapons don't work.
yep.
But I guess that's just not how it works. Well, I
Yeah,
guess it depends on who's using what transporter. Because if they're
agreed.
transporting onto your ship from their ship using their transporter technology, then I guess that wouldn't apply.
Yeah, well, still the receiver is
Yeah,
different
well, why
transporter
not just
technology.
block out all reception and then nobody can board your ship by transporting? This
Oh,
makes no
honey.
sense. Yeah.
You're applying logic to a
So
science fiction
to
thing.
my mind, there's no receiver. The transporter just does its thing, however it does it.
Yeah.
Like just
So,
transmits without a receiver.
yeah. I did love the part when Seska did say to Chakotay, "I'm not a monster," and I'm like,
Yeah, you are. Clearly you are. Liar. You're a lying liar who lies.
yeah, she's really good at manipulation because,
Mm-hmm.
and again, just kudos on her performance
Oh
because
yeah,
Martha
when
Hackett is very good.
she's talking to Kola when he's being very threatening and
Hmm.
demanding to be called Maj. And she's like, yes, Maj. Yes, Maj. Yes, Maj. It's like, yes, master, basically. So,
Yeah,
or she
well,
just immediately flips to a more subservient, more submissive role.
well,
Even,
she's
it's an act, of course.
it is. She's leading him around by the nose, but she's making him think that she's not.
Yeah, and
So,
even when Chakotay's being beat up and saying, "Hey, my favorite thing about her is that mole on her belly," and it
mm.
gets punched extra hard. It's like, oh, so you've seen it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice. So it kind of ties into the mind games from earlier because she's playing them on him and he's playing them on Kola.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. So yeah,
yeah,
they do get the final goodbye from Seska about how she's extracted Chakotay's DNA and impregnated herself. That actually
yep.
is not what happened.
All right.
She tried, didn't work out. She's actually ends up getting pregnant with Kala's child, but she keeps
Uh-huh.
saying that it's Chakotay's, of course.
It's got to be a difficult pregnancy with that hairstyle. Oh, wait, kid probably doesn't have that hairstyle in the womb,
I
does it?
I would hope not. I would
Yeah.
hope not.
It's like having a head of broccoli come out you
Oh, giant head of
with all those
broccoli.
bumps.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you. So yeah, that kind of the episode kind of leaves on a sour note because of that, because of
Yeah.
Seska's quote unquote revelation. So uh yeah, she'll be back.
Yeah. Yeah. With that kind of villain, with that kind of foil, you want to see more of her. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you hate her, it's kind of a love to hate kind of thing. So it's
Exactly. Exactly.
not somebody I think I'd tire of unless it was like every week. Because yeah, I
Yeah.
tire of Q after a while,
Well, he
even though I
wasn't
like the actor a lot.
yeah,
There's
here's
just
the
some kind of
thing.
obnoxiousness to it.
Q wasn't in Next Generation as much as people think he
No,
was. I
no,
think he was in like I want to say 4 or 5 episodes maximum in the whole 7 year run.
right.
So, but people seem to think he was in it a lot more. So,
Well, they're standout episodes, and I could see
yeah,
why.
yeah. So, yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say about this episode, my love?
Boy, we sped through that. Holy
We did.
smokes.
It was a very straight through line. You know?
Yeah, there was not really any B or C plots. This was
No.
all one thing. So
Mm-hmm.
they didn't really want to weigh down the storyline with anything that didn't, serve this main punch. Because yeah, everything is in service of this plot, this stolen technology, retrieving the technology, Chakotay going off on his own, and the repercussions to that.
Yeah.
That they actually have to drop out of warp. I don't think we've talked about that, having to drop out of warp to be able to try to lock on to Chakotay and then almost getting him and then not, and then
Yeah. Oh,
having
and
to protect themselves, use their shields against various Kazon vessels.
yeah, and there is the conversation between Janeway and Chakotay where she's explaining to him that what he's done was unacceptable, and he's like, I did what I thought I was that was best, and she explains to him why it was so fucked up, and he's like, oh, in that case, I regret my actions.
Well, what the thing that got me was it wasn't his decision. She's the captain. She
Mm,
decides who goes.
hmm.
You could bring forth that, I let me go off on my own and she can agree to it or not, but you took that choice away from her and she's the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
do not do that. Um,
Yeah. And I love how she's like they get an alert from the bridge and she doesn't even take her eyes off him. She doesn't change facial expressions. She just says go ahead. And then that's when they say that Seska is communicating with them.
yep.
So, but just that stare, that blinkless stare that she's giving him that whole
Oh,
time.
Kate Mulgrew is great in this episode.
Oh, she's
The
so
snark
fantastic.
that comes
Uh-huh.
off her.
Yeah.
It's like when that message comes, it's like, should we direct it to your office, basically,
Mhm.
or to your quarters? And he's like, no, she can, we can say whatever. And then it's the pregnancy thing. And he's like, oh, shit.
Mhm.
Um, there's another moment when Balana is coming to Chakotay's defense about, the disciplinary action and stuff and saying how he took it personally, that he had a relationship with Seska and feels, personally hurt. And he's like, well, Seska hurt us all.
Mhm.
This is not unique to him. And it's self-indulgent to go off on his own. Like he's the only one that's affected. We all have.
Yes.
We all are. It's just
Yeah.
not on him alone and it's not his responsibility alone. And he's not the only one hurt or injured by Seska.
And that's why she's the captain,
Hmm.
because she has to make those hard decisions.
Yeah, yeah. So just
Yeah.
some great Janeway moments I don't think we quite touched on, but yeah, she's really good in this too.
I love her.
Yep.
She's the best.
Oh,
Yeah.
here's another thing. When they're kept getting hit by phaser fire or torpedoes or whatever, especially Paris at the helm,
Mhm.
he just suddenly lurch forward and he'd brace his fingers on the actual pads. It's like, how does that not affect the way he's flying? It's like he's pushing all these buttons and suddenly his whole palms go onto that. It's like, did you just like hit the emergency brake or something by doing that?
Maybe it's a level of touch sort of thing. Like a palm on it doesn't react in the
Right.
same way that fingertips do.
Well, no, on touchscreens, he'd probably wipe to like some other tab or something that he had open. It's like watching YouTube videos when he wasn't flying.
This Lieutenant Paris, is that your cat videos playing on
Is
the
that X
screen?
videos?
Oh no. Oh no, they found my porn stash. Shit.
Is that the dark web? What are you ordering?
Oh my goodness. Any final thoughts, babe?
No, I think that addressed all the stuff we might have skipped because yeah, I think we talked about everybody else. We talked about Tuvok catching holy hell and then having
Mm.
to write up a report on security and changing codes and stuff like that, so shuttles don't go missing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so
it doesn't matter. They'll
yeah.
just be back on board anyway.
This is another one that didn't have the doctor in it, did it?
No, no, not really. No, no,
Yeah.
there was a little bit. There was a
Oh,
little
yeah,
bit.
that's right. There was a little bit of the doctor there, wasn't there?
Yeah,
That's
there
right.
was.
I think
A little bit of
very
the doctor,
early
a little bit of
on.
kiss. Yeah.
Yeah, he got like a day and then got
Mm,
to go home.
yeah.
It's like, that's a wrap for the doctor.
Yeah. All right then. I guess we have to do the most exciting part of
Right.
the
So we get
show
to, yeah,
next time.
hopefully we can get one that we haven't covered yet. But if we don't,
Let's get a high
that's the way
number.
it goes.
We want a
And
high
this is
number.
nearly 1,000. I'm going to remember. Nearly
Yeah.
1,000 episodes.
Yes.
It's like
I think
940 something or other.
yeah,
44, I think.
940. Yeah, let me get the spreadsheet back up here.
Watch it be section 31.
That would be hilarious. Yes, you were correct with it being a total of 944
Yeah,
things.
that just number
So,
kind of stuck in my mind
okay.
from last time.
All right, here we go. Alexa, give me a number between 1 and 944.
Here's a number between 1 and 944. It's 560.
560.
560? Is that another Enterprise or is that another Voyager? That'd be funny.
Let's see.
500. That's right around the middle. Well, a little
560
late in the middle.
is
DS9?
Deep Space Nine.
DS9.
560. Yes. Deep
Arman
Space
Bashir.
Nine, season
Arman Bashir.
7. Shush. Would you like to actually hear the title?
Sure.
It's season 7, episode 16, which is
Ooh.
Inter Arma Enim Silent Legis.
Oh, one of the Latin titles that Star
Yes,
Trek is so
exactly.
well known for.
One of those, yes.
So 716.
Yeah.
Season 7, episode 16, Latin, 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 Latin,
Yep.
Latin. Ergo
Yep.
sum, ipso facto,
Semper Fi.
etc. Semper Fi,
Yeah.
Fidelis,
Yeah,
yeah, Carpe Diem.
we don't really get into New Trek until we get above, let's see, let me find out what the number is. Basically from 7:30 on, that's all Discovery and everything going forward from that.
All right.
So, just so
Actually,
we
that's
know.
more than I thought.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a good chunk.
Yeah.
All right. Back to Deep Space Nine. Seems to be like we're switching from Voyager to Deep Space Nine and back again a lot.
It does feel like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's okay. I like Deep Space Nine a lot. So,
Yeah. Me too.
and season 7, things are really kind of ramping up because that's the final season, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. It is indeed the
So,
final season.
yeah.
So, yeah.
I guess, where do people find you if you want to be found?
Never want to be found. What the fuck?
Right.
I want to be hidden away forever and
Yep.
ever. Yeah, I'm an introvert. You can find me. I don't do Twitter anymore.
Nope.
But I'm on Blue Sky I'm just Brandywine there because I got in early and
Yep.
there weren't anybody else doing Brandywine with the way I spelled it, which is with an Brandywine, Brandy with an I, wine. And you can find me on Instagram at Brandy Jackala, and that's pretty much it. So I don't really do Facebook anymore either.
Nope. Good thing too. I'm also on Blue Sky as DJ Evil Dave. You can find me most places as DJ Evil Dave. We have a YouTube, DJ Evil Dave, with underscores because somebody I think got in there before I did. Shield Podulation is also on Blue Sky as Shield Podulation Podcast, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we do have a YouTube channel. You can get the podcast there. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you don't like Spotify, you don't like Apple, you can hear the podcast on this site called Hear This. And it's just me putting the MP3 directly from my computer there. There's no other service I go through. It's just the MP3 is on this site that's mostly for like DJs and stuff like that, but there's podcasts on there as well, and mine happens to be on, or ours happens to be on there. I just think of
Excellent.
mine because I'm the one importing it. But it features both our voices on there, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
We're also on SoundCloud, but I can only store so much, so it's usually the teaser episode and the most recent one, because I think I'm going to be adding another playlist on there that'll take up space. So, yeah, Blue Sky, DJ Evil Dave, etc., etc. Yeah, there's a Tumblr too that I forget to post to,
Mm.
but yeah, that's where you can find us.
Yeah. So again, thanks to Dan for you
Yeah.
know what for.
Yeah,
And
for letting us do this thing that you guys had been doing before for the Unready Room on the
yeah.
Kurt Ratz YouTube channel.
And also hi Tim. Hope you're
Hi
well.
Tim. Yeah. Hi Patrick.
Hi Patrick. Hope you're well too. By
Yeah,
the
there's a
way,
lot of sickness going around, so everybody
yeah.
take care out there.
Yeah. And I have been a lot less involved with social media as a whole.
It's
So,
tough. It's dark times, and going
yeah.
onto social media is just that's like automatic doom scrolling. So it's
Hmm.
kind of tough to be social at the moment, even though it's
Yeah.
nice to touch bases with the people you like. So
Yeah. So I apologize for people
yeah,
whose messages have gone unread for a day or two.
yeah, it's just
Sorry.
escaping through reading because
Hmm.
you're an advanced copy reader. So
Yeah.
it's, video gaming because that's how you de-stress.
Yeah. I gotta get my ass
Uh,
back to Stardew Valley, man. I got crops to
yeah, you
harvest.
got a goth boyfriend now, or husband,
And
goth
husband,
husband.
goth
Yeah,
husband, thank you very
right.
much.
Yeah.
Takes me on motorcycle rides.
Room Room. He's the crow from the television series. He's Mark Dacascos.
Yeah, except more of
Speaking
an
of martial
introvert.
artists. Yeah. Yeah,
He's a really big
he's the
introvert.
American Iron Chef.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, folks. Well, join us in 2 weeks hence, where we'll talk about season 7 of Deep Space Nine, episode 16, the one with the Latin title.
Yeah, the Latin words. Oh, that's another thing. On YouTube, I've been making a playlist of songs that share titles with Star Trek episodes. I wasn't able to do A from and Dot, obviously, because, what's going to
Mm.
match that. But I'll probably find one called Maneuvers, but I don't think I'm going to get next week's either. Or next
You know,
yeah, the next episodes, I don't think I'm gonna find a song that matches, but so far so good. I've done pretty good job. In fact,
nice.
Nemesis being by V&V Nation kind of worked out nicely to be
Excellent.
the one movie that we have on there to have such a cool song. But yeah, guess that's it for us. It's gonna be a shorter episode from what I can gather, because don't we start around 3:30 or so?
Issues? Yeah.
Yeah, so this will probably be our shortest episode yet.
Not necessarily. That would be
Yeah.
the teaser. Ha ha.
Oh, well, episode. That's a teaser. That's not a
Right, right.
full episode. That's just
Yeah,
a long
okay.
promo.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, I mean,
usually we hit around an hour, but yeah,
it was
this
it
is
was just
about
a very
40
straightforward
minutes.
episode. So,
Yeah, it's clean. We didn't have to bounce back and forth between storylines, and I think we covered a lot, including the films of Jason Statham.
yes,
In fact,
indeed.
that might be the title of this episode, The Films of Jason Statham.
Excellent. I love it. I approve
Yep.
wholeheartedly.
Just to confuse everybody. It's like, isn't this a Star Trek podcast? Why are you talking about this films of Jason Statham?
Oh, you'll see.
It's like, you'll
Or you'll
see.
hear.
You'll hear eventually.
All right then, folks. Thank you for listening to us babble on because
Babble,
we
babble.
sure have
Now,
fun at
Babylon is a
this.
different show.
No, shut up with the
Oh, okay.
babbling on.
Right.
Oh, it still sounds like Babylon. Never mind.
Yep.
By the way, I'm a huge Babylon 5 fan, guys, if you
Of course.
didn't know already.
Yeah, and
Anyway,
Farscape and all kinds of, and The Expanse. There's all kinds of sci-fi series we like. It's not just Star Trek, but Star Trek happens to be your like top of the list for you, I think.
yeah, well, it has the most
Yep.
stuff.
It does have the most. It has a lot.
It has a lot.
It has
And
944 episodes, or
it has endured
potential
since,
episodes for us to do. Yes.
yeah, it has endured since 1966. So
Yep.
yeah, you can't say that about a lot of television shows.
19 K's on sexy sex. I don't even think that picked up. Yeah, goodbye.
Yeah.